I'm here to confirm the identity of our shooter in this murder-suicide that happened several hours ago as former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. Former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax shot and killed his wife inside of their home.
Just after midnight on April 16th, 2026, a 16-year-old boy picked up a phone and called 911. He said his mother was bleeding. He didn't know where his father was.
Car stating that his dad might have stabbed his mom, saying that she's laying on the ground bleeding, could see holes in her shirt. Heard a fight about a minute ago, unknown where his father is now.
When officers arrived at the house on Guinevere Drive in Annandale, Virginia, they found her in the basement, shot multiple times. They found him upstairs in the primary bedroom, the same gun. Both gone. The man who pulled that trigger had once stood at the steps of Virginia's Capitol as the second Black American ever elected statewide in the Commonwealth's history. A rising political star. A man his party believed could one day sit in the White House. The woman in that basement had built everything herself, her practice, her career, her life, brick by brick, while he was falling apart. She had won custody of their children. She had a court order that said he had to be out of that house in 14 days. 14 days. This is what happened inside that house, and what everyone around them missed or ignored before it came to this. Her name was Dr. Cerina Fairfax. And before we say anything else, that is where we start. Serena grew up knowing exactly what she wanted. She earned her bachelor's degree from Duke University in 1999. Not because of him. She was already there. That is where they met. She went on to Virginia Commonwealth University's School of Dentistry, graduated magna cum laude in 2005, joined the Omicron Kappa Upsilon Dental Honor Society, one of dentistry's highest academic distinctions, completed her advanced residency, then did what very few people do. She built something entirely her own. Dr. Fairfax and Associates Family Dentistry. Her practice, her patients, her name on the door. For 2 decades, she served that community. Pediatric dentistry, family care, outreach programs, local charities. In 2015, VCU named her Outstanding Graduate of the Last Decade. A friend and longtime patient named Taryn Sims said it plainly after she died. Her work wasn't just a profession. It was an expression of love and care for people, an extension of who she was.
She was one of the most loving, caring people.
That she would go out of her way to make sure anyone who needed dental care got it, even if they couldn't afford it.
It wasn't just a profession for her, right? It was an expression of love and compassion. It was her way of service to others.
He says it's important for people to know who she was.
Serena is a real person and an accomplished person.
Outside of work, she ran trails with her Vizsla dogs. She practiced Bikram yoga. She traveled. She read. She showed up to every game. Cameron's basketball, Karis's lacrosse tournaments. Every single one. Cameron was 16. Karis was 14. In the weeks before she died, Serena had started planning college visits for both of them. She was already building toward the next chapter. Already imagining their futures. A Virginia judge, in a formal court order, in the cold language of legal proceedings, described Serena Fairfax as a port in a storm for her children. He wrote that their resilience, their early success in life, came down entirely to what he called mother's grit. She was the planner, the scheduler, the caretaker, the cook, the disciplinarian, the primary nurturer. She did all of that while running her own practice, managing the household finances, raising 2 teenagers, while the man she was divorcing sat in his office and disappeared into himself. She held everything together, every day, for years. And in the months before April 16th, she had done one more thing. She had installed cameras throughout the house. Every room, every hallway, every corner she could reach. She wasn't being paranoid, she was being careful. In January 2018, Justin Fairfax stood on the steps of Virginia's Capitol and made history. He was 38 years old, the second African American ever elected statewide in the Commonwealth, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. His party believed in him. His state celebrated him. Political observers were already writing about what might come next, the governor's office and possibly beyond. He had a wife beside him, 2 young children nearby, and a career that seemed to be pointing somewhere extraordinary. He had already absorbed one setback. In 2013, he ran for the Democratic nomination for Attorney General and lost. Court documents filed years later reveal that defeat hit him harder than anyone knew. He withdrew, drank, and pulled back from family life. But he recovered. Within a month, he was back. The second setback was different. He never came back from the second one. In February 2019, 2 women came forward with separate allegations of sexual assault against Justin Fairfax. Vanessa Tyson alleged he forced her to perform oral at the 2004 Democratic National Convention in Boston. Meredith Watson alleged he raped her in 2000 when they were both undergraduates at Duke University. Justin Fairfax denied everything. He called for an FBI investigation. He hired the same legal team that had represented Brett Kavanaugh. He submitted to 2 polygraph examinations and claimed he passed both. He went to the floor of the Virginia Senate and kept working. He was never criminally charged. No criminal case was ever brought. But the political world moved on without him. Staff quit. His law firm pushed him out. Duke asked him to step down from his advisory board. Democrats who had celebrated him called for his resignation publicly. He ran for governor in 2021, finished 4th in the Democratic primary, 3.5% of the vote. A Fairfax County Circuit Court judge, writing in a custody order in March 2026, described what happened next in precise, clinical language. The assault allegations deeply affected father, he wrote, and appeared to have put an end to those plans. He went home, and he didn't come back. When Justin Fairfax left office in January 2022, he went home to Guinevere Drive in Annandale. He set up a solo law practice inside the house. He opened a website. He called himself a managing member. In 2023, that practice brought in over $400,000. By 2024, it had fallen to $11,000. By November 2025, there was no recorded income at all, not a single dollar. A friend told reporters he couldn't find work after the scandal. Another said simply, when he couldn't get clients, that's when the marriage started going downhill. Inside that house, Cerina watched it happen. She testified in court that heavy daily alcohol consumption had become the norm for him. That his private space, his office, his retreat inside the home, was littered with empty wine bottles and piles of dirty laundry. He had cloistered himself. That was the word the judge used, cloistered. He stopped attending the children's activities, stopped managing the household finances, allowed the mortgage to go into default multiple times, ignored bills, ignored obligations, ignored the family gathering around him and waiting for him to come back. Before we go further, if this case is hitting differently for you, I want to hear from you in the comments. What part of this story do you think is being missed in the coverage right now? Drop it below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to True Crime Anatomy. Every case we do, we start where everyone else ends. In 2022, something happened that would not become public until a court order filed 4 years later. Justin Fairfax purchased a handgun. He used money that had been set aside for his children's horseback riding lessons. His children's lesson money. For a gun. At some point after that, he left the house. He packed a suitcase with clothes. He took the gun with him. His family searched for him. They found him in the woods of a public park near the house. He had been there for hours. Family members could not calm him down. His brother eventually called a mental health professional who drove to meet him in a parking lot at 1 a.m. Justin later told family the gun was for personal protection. He said he took it because he didn't want his children to find it in the home. The court documented that incident, noted it in a custody order filed 4 years later, and still, no order to surrender the firearm. No mandatory intervention. Nothing that held. Serena filed for divorce on July 18, 2025. The marriage had been deteriorating for years, but the formal separation, on paper, created a new kind of pressure inside that house. They were still living together, still sleeping under the same roof, in separate bedrooms. She had installed cameras throughout the home, every room she could reach. She told the court she needed them. She was protecting herself and documenting what was happening day by day. In January 2026, Justin called the police. He told them Serena had assaulted him. Officers came to the house, reviewed the footage from the cameras Serena had installed. The assault had never happened. The footage showed nothing. No charges were filed. Not against Serena and not against Justin for making a false report. The cameras told the truth. He walked away without consequence. On March 30th, 2026, Fairfax County Circuit Court Judge Timothy McAvoy issued his custody and visitation order. It is one of the most detailed, most damning judicial portraits of a man in crisis that you will find in any public court record. The judge gave primary physical custody to Serena. He ordered Justin out of the family home by the end of April. He granted joint legal custody, but attached one condition to Justin's unsupervised visits with his own children: a breathalyzer test, 1 hour before each visit. In the written order, Judge McAvoy described Justin's isolation, drinking, and lack of participation in family life as signs of what he called fatalism and hopelessness. He noted that there was no evidence Justin was seeking professional help and wrote plainly, "This is very concerning to the court." He did not order mandatory therapy. He did not order the gun surrendered. He did not order Justin out immediately. Family law experts who reviewed the case publicly after April 16th were direct about what that meant. One attorney pointed out that a breathalyzer test 1 hour before a visit is not protection. A person can pass it and start drinking immediately after. That the safeguards put in place were simply not enough for what the court itself had documented on paper. Justin Fairfax was scheduled to appear in court again on April 21st. A 3-day asset-splitting trial was about to begin. He was being fined $300 for every day he continued to ignore existing court orders. He owed money he didn't have. In the days before April 16th, he was served paperwork about that upcoming court date. Fairfax County Police Chief Kevin Davis stood outside the house on Guinevere Drive and said that paperwork may have been a spark. Guinevere Drive, April 16th, 2026. Past midnight. The cameras were on. They were always on now. Cameron and Karis were home. Cameron 16, Karis 14. The house was quiet in the way a house is quiet when something is wrong and nobody is saying it yet. Justin went to the basement, where Cerina was. He shot her multiple times. Then he walked upstairs to the primary bedroom. and turned the gun on himself. Cameron called 911 just after midnight. He told the dispatcher his mother was bleeding. He said he didn't know where his father was. When officers arrived, they found Serena in the basement. They found Justin upstairs. The same firearm. Both pronounced dead at the scene. This was the man who had given speeches about the scourge of gun violence in Virginia, who had positioned himself as an advocate, as a protector, as someone who understood what weapons do to communities. He bought the gun with his children's lesson money. He walked it into the basement, and he used it on the woman who had held everything together while he came apart. Their children were upstairs. If you are watching this, and something in this story is sitting with you, the cameras, the court order, the 14 days, I want to know what you're thinking. Leave it in the comments. And if someone in your life needs to see this story, share it with them. It matters that Serena's name is said correctly. What the court had in its hands before April 16th is worth naming directly. A documented 2022 incident. A man in a public park, in psychological crisis, with a gun he had bought with his children's money. No order to surrender the firearm. A January 2026 false police report. Investigated, confirmed false by camera footage, and closed without consequence. A March 2026 custody order that described in writing a man experiencing fatalism and hopelessness, with no mandatory mental health intervention attached to it. A move-out deadline of April 30th. 2 weeks away, she was still in the house. Family law experts who reviewed the case spoke clearly. The breathalyzer condition was not protection. The joint custody arrangement left the children exposed. The system saw the warning signs, documented them in a public court record, and still left a gap wide enough for the worst outcome. Virginia lawmakers have since been asked questions about protective order standards in domestic violence cases involving documented psychological decline. That conversation is now happening. It is too late for Serena, but it is happening. A small memorial appeared outside her dental practice on Fairfax Drive in the days after. Flowers, notes from patients. People who had sat in her chair and trusted her with their care, standing outside the door she would never walk through again. Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger released a statement. Attorney General Jay Jones. Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine, both men who had worked alongside Justin, both of whom said they were shocked, issued a joint statement and directed Virginians to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Former Governor Ralph Northam, who had served with Justin for 4 years, said he and his wife were devastated. A neighbor named Erin Bailongo, who had lived next door for 5 years, said she hadn't known Serena well. But what she had observed was a devoted mother, just a devoted mother. Cameron and Karis are now in the care of family. 16, 14, both parents gone. In the hours after April 16th, almost every headline read the same way. Virginia, Lieutenant Governor's wife killed. Politician's wife found dead. Wife of former Lieutenant Governor. Her friends corrected the record immediately and publicly. Taryn Sims, her friend, her patient, told a reporter, "I would put politician's wife at the absolute bottom of the list of who she was. She was a doctor. She was a business owner. She was the outstanding graduate of the last decade at one of Virginia's most respected dental schools. She was someone who had built a practice from nothing and served her community for 20 years. She was a woman who ran trails and practiced yoga and read books and showed up every time for everyone who needed her." The judge who oversaw her divorce case, in a formal legal order, called her a port in a storm. Said her children's resilience was the direct result of her grit. She did everything right. She documented the behavior. She filed the papers. She installed the cameras. She told the court exactly what was happening inside that house. She won custody. She got the move-out order. she was 14 days from the deadline. She was already planning what came next. College visits for both of her kids. The cameras she put up to protect herself were still recording on the night of April 16th. They captured everything that happened in that house, and still could not save her. Thank you for watching. And if Serena's story is one that someone in your life needs to hear, subscribe, like, and please share this video. Her name deserves to be said correctly. There is another story on this channel about a woman who did everything the system asked her to do, filed the paperwork, got the order, followed every step, and still didn't make it out. The link is on screen right now. Watch it next.